On my birthday, I didn't get a wish. I got a sentence. The end of my marriage. The room was full of light, laughter, glasses clinking. The cake was still untouched. Sweet cream mixed with the smell of wine. My son Ethan shouted, "Dad, make a wish." I closed my eyes. I wish this family would stay together, always. I didn't know. That wish was already gone. My wife stood up, glass in her hand. I smiled, thinking she was about to toast me. 7 years together. Every eye turned to her. My heart was warm. Then she said, calm, cold, "Thank you for everything. But starting tomorrow, we're no longer husband and wife." The music stopped. The laughter died. Silence, heavy, crushing. The candles still burned, but their light felt like mockery. I froze. The glass nearly slipped from my hand. Ethan stared at his mother, confused. My friends looked away. Some hid behind their phones. Some quietly left. No one said a word. It felt like I was dragged onto a stage. The spotlight on me. Everyone waiting to see me fall apart. But I couldn't speak. I set the knife down. My hands trembled. Wax dripped onto the white cake. Is this a joke? Did I hear wrong? No. Her eyes told me everything. She had planned to leave, long ago. That room should have been the happiest place of my life. Instead, it became a cage. A place where my dignity was stripped away. For everyone to see. That night, after everyone left, I sat alone. The last candle had burned out. Ethan slept in my arms. And it hit me. I had just lived through the biggest shock of my life. No warning. Just silence. Cruel, final. I wish I had said something. I wish I had fought back. But I didn't. I stayed silent. And that silence changed the rest of my life. My name is Christopher. I'm 35. I teach history at a regular high school. Some say teaching is dry, repetitive. But to me, it gives meaning. When I see a student sit up straight, eyes lighting up as they finally get a story from the past, I know I'm doing the right thing. I've never been the ambitious type. Never dreamed of being a principal. Never chased a title. I like simple things. A steady classroom, a small house, and a complete family. To my friends, I was the lucky one. A beautiful wife, a good son, a peaceful life. And I believed it too. Rachel, my wife, was nothing like me. She was outgoing, quick, charming. We first met at an education conference. In a room full of serious faces, she was the only one smiling, laughing, talking with everyone. I was the shy teacher in the corner. It took everything I had to walk up and say hello. Hard to believe. 2 years later, she became my wife. Then came Ethan, our son, the light of my life. Every night I read him stories. His favorite? Knights fighting dragons. One night, he looked at me and said, "Dad, when I grow up, I'll be a knight, to protect you and Mom." I laughed, but my chest ached. I thought, with this family, I need nothing else. Our house was small. 2 stories, a front porch with flowers, an old swing that squeaked whenever Ethan played. The kitchen always smelled of coffee. The living room was covered with his drawings. Every evening, we ate dinner together. Rachel told stories from work. I shared little moments from school. And Ethan, he always cut in with something silly. We laughed. Those nights, I thought I was happier than anyone else in the world. But maybe, when you believe you're at the peak of happiness, that's when the cracks start to show. Rachel got busier. At first, she said it was work. Events, clients, meetings. I believed her. But slowly, her reasons grew vague. Some nights, she came home after Ethan was already asleep. I asked. She snapped. "Stop asking so much, Christopher." I fell silent. One night, her phone buzzed on the table. A message lit up the screen. "I miss you." The contact was just a symbol, with a red heart. I stood there, hands shaking, heart racing. I almost unlocked it, but I stopped. I told myself, maybe it's a mistake, maybe just a friend joking. And I didn't ask. My first mistake was silence. Even Ethan stumbled into my pain. One afternoon, I picked him up from school. He asked, "Dad, why does that man come to our house when you're not home?" My stomach dropped. I asked, "What man?" Ethan shrugged. "I don't remember his name. He brings food, then sits with Mom in the living room." My chest burned. I forced a smile. Just a friend of Mom's. But inside I knew it wasn't that simple. From that day, I looked at Rachel differently. Every time she said late meeting, I pictured her with someone else. Every time she smiled at her phone, I felt invisible. Some nights, I stayed up late, listening to the water running in the bathroom, my mind drowning in suspicion. But still, I stayed silent. I was terrified. Terrified that if I asked, I'd lose everything. So I tried harder. I brought her flowers, hoping for her old smile. I cooked, set the table, waited. I gave up extra classes, just to spend more time at home. But the harder I tried, the lonelier I felt. Once I handed her a bouquet of roses. She barely glanced. Put them on the table. Not a word. I watched the petals fall to the floor, like pieces of my heart. Dinner became just father and son. The chair across from us, empty, cold. I watched the clock tick. Dishes went cold. Ethan poked at his food, then asked, "Dad, where's Mom?" I swallowed hard. "She's busy, son." But I knew the gap was growing. I felt myself fading, becoming invisible in my own home. One night, Rachel came back late, walked past me, as if I were just a chair. I almost reached for her hand, but I let go. I wondered, do I mean anything to her anymore? I lived torn apart. On one side, love for my son. On the other, fear of losing my wife. I told myself, if I stayed patient, if I stayed silent, she would come back. It's just work pressure, we'll be fine. But deep inside, I knew this silence was only the prelude, the calm before the storm. And that storm, I had no idea, would hit me, on my birthday, in front of everyone I knew. I used to think, the small changes in a marriage were nothing. People get tired, people want their space. But those little cracks kept piling up. And I couldn't call it work pressure anymore. It became clear one autumn night. I set the table, like always. 3 plates, a small vase of flowers. 8 o'clock passed. Her chair stayed empty. Close to midnight, Rachel came home. The door opened. A strange perfume drifted in. I asked softly, "Have you eaten? I can heat something up." She slipped off her shoes. "No need, I'm full." The bedroom door clicked shut. I stood there in the kitchen, with cold food and silence. I sat down, stared at the empty chair, and for the first time, I felt like I was no longer a husband, just a piece of furniture. Some dinners turn a man into a ghost inside his own home. The next day, Ethan handed me a drawing, a family picture. 4 people, me, Mom, Ethan, and a stranger. "Who's this?" I asked. Ethan colored the hat blue. "That's the man who comes over when you're not home. Mom says call him Uncle M." I forced a smile. Said it was beautiful, but inside, something gripped my chest. Children don't invent. They just draw what they see. That night, I decided to confront her. As Rachel stepped through the door, I stopped her. "Where have you been? If it's work, let me drive you." She froze for a second, then smirked. "Since when did you become my timekeeper?" I looked into her eyes, my voice trembling, but firm. "I just need to know, are we still husband and wife?" She paused, then said cold as steel, "I'm tired of explaining. And honestly, I don't even know what we are anymore." In that moment, Ethan's voice came from the other room. "Dad, Mom, don't fight." My throat closed. I swallowed every word. I couldn't turn our home into a battlefield in front of him. Rachel walked away, left me standing in the dark hallway. Sometimes, people don't win with arguments. They win with coldness. Days passed. Her phone now had a new password. When texts came in, she stepped outside. Once from the kitchen, I heard her laugh softly through the door. A laugh that used to belong to me, now handed to someone else. One morning, Mrs. Green, the neighbor, stopped me. She smiled kindly, but her words cut deep. "Last night I saw Rachel with a tall man by his car. They looked good together. I even joked, if my daughter married someone like that, I'd be so happy." I froze, forced a smile. "Probably just a colleague." She nodded, not knowing her words had stabbed right through me. The worst part of betrayal is when it becomes obvious to everyone else. I tried one last time. Sunday, I bought tickets to the beach. A trip, a memory, like the old days. When I showed Rachel, she barely glanced. "I'm busy, cancel it," I whispered. "Ethan needs a memory. We need one too." She looked up, her voice flat. "Christopher, the problem isn't a trip. The problem is, I don't want to fix us anymore." The ticket slipped from my hands, rustled against the table. When someone stops wanting to repair, every effort becomes meaningless patchwork. One night, I came home early. A gray sedan was parked outside. I walked in. Rachel sat in the living room, with a man. Too close. No excuse needed. 2 glasses of wine on the table. The man stood, nodded quickly, left without meeting my eyes. Rachel watched him go, then turned to me, calm. "It's just work." I smiled weakly, nodded, walked upstairs, sat on the bed, hands clutching my head. What kind of work needs wine in my living room, while my son sleeps down the hall? From that day on, I stopped calling it suspicion. I called it what it was, betrayal. But still, I stayed silent. For Ethan. For fear. Because I knew, the moment I spoke, it would all collapse. And Ethan, he knew more than I thought. One night, he sat beside me, his voice barely a whisper. "Dad, does Mom still love you?" I pulled him close, breathed in the scent of his hair, held back tears. "It's okay, Ethan. I'll always love you." He nodded, but his eyes carried a sadness far older than his years. Children don't need explanations. They feel the change, right in their hearts. I knew then, the real storm hadn't come yet. Everything so far was just the beginning. And that storm would crash down on my birthday. After the night, I saw Rachel with that man in our living room. The air in the house grew heavy, like fog. Our words shrank to fragments. Yes, fine, whatever. Even the sound of her footsteps on the wooden floor felt distant. I kept trying. Small things. One night, I set the table. Candles, napkins folded like swans, her favorite roast. Ethan built Legos on the floor. He looked up. "Dad, is Mom eating with us?" I ruffled his hair. "She will, son." We waited. 9 o'clock. The food turned cold. Ethan fell asleep on the sofa. The door opened. Rachel walked in, holding a paper bag with an Italian restaurant logo. I asked gently, "You already ate?" She slipped off her coat. "Colleagues invited me. Don't make a big deal." I stared at the cold table. The swans collapsed, and I realized I was no longer part of her world. I cleared the plates, packed the food away. No one asked how long I had spent preparing. Some efforts don't die because they fail. They die because no one ever sees them. The next morning, I dropped Ethan at school. A gray sedan waited by the gate. Rachel stepped out. Mark, the man, nodded at me. A faint smile. Ethan asked innocently, "Dad, does that man drive Mom to work too?" I said nothing, my knuckles white on the wheel. In class that day, I drifted. One student raised a hand. "Sir, are you okay today?" I forced a smile. "Just a rough night's sleep." The truth? I hadn't been sleeping. Every dream was the same. Walking into my own house, seeing Rachel beside someone else, while I stood there, invisible. That night, I decided to talk. I waited in the living room. When she came in, I said, "Rachel, we need to talk." She folded her arms. "Again, aren't you tired?" "I am, but silence is worse." "Do you have someone else?" Her eyes didn't flinch. "And if I said yes, what would you do?" The words cut deep. I slammed the table. "How could you? This is our home, our son, our family." The noise woke Ethan. He ran out, clutching his teddy bear. "Dad, Mom, don't fight, please." My body froze. Rachel shrugged, walked away, left me standing in the dark hallway with my crying son. People say strength is holding back. But that night, all I felt was cowardice. The days blurred. Rachel lived in her own world. I stopped hoping. I poured everything into Ethan. We went to the park. I taught him to ride a bike. He fell. I picked him up. He laughed. And I thought, no matter what I lose, I can't lose him. But even in those moments, the shadow lingered. Ethan brought me another drawing. Mom, Dad, and Uncle M, holding her hand. "Why did you draw this?" I asked. He whispered, "Because Mom smiles more when she's with him than when she's with you." I pulled him close and broke inside. Nothing hurts more than when your own child realizes you are no longer the reason for their mother's happiness. The tension spread outside our walls. I became an unspoken joke. One morning, in the teacher's lounge, Jenna, young colleague, laughed. "Saw your wife downtown last night. She looked amazing. Who was that stylish guy with her?" The room chuckled. I forced a smile, chewed a donut that tasted like dust. It didn't hurt because they were wrong. It hurt because they were right. That evening, Rachel surprised me. "I want to throw you a birthday party." I blinked. "After everything, you still want to?" She shrugged. "Least I can do is be decent." That word, decent, echoed like mockery. But I nodded. Maybe, when people are planning to leave, they still want the goodbye to look beautiful, to hide the mess behind. From that day, Ethan and I cleaned the house. He blew balloons, sang under his breath. I watched him, heart tight. If tomorrow everything falls apart, God, don't let him carry the weight. The night before my birthday, while Ethan slept, I heard her outside. Tomorrow, I'll say it. It has to end. I stood in the bedroom, my hand on the door handle. If I opened it, I could stop her. But I didn't. I knew nothing could stop it now. The next morning, I shaved carefully, put on my cleanest shirt. The eyes in the mirror weren't begging anymore. They were bracing. Ethan ran up, shouting, "Happy birthday, Dad!" I hugged him tight, whispered, "Today, I'll need you by my side." The party began. Friends, colleagues, laughter, glasses clinking, candles glowing on the cake. For a brief moment, I wondered, would she stay silent? Would life just go on like this? But then Rachel stood, microphone in hand. The room froze. I tightened my grip on Ethan's shoulder. She took a breath, looked at everyone, then right at me. "Thank you all for coming. But today, I have something to say." And in that instant, I knew the storm had arrived. The birthday party was loud, glasses clinking, laughter filling the room. I looked around. Friends, colleagues, even family were there. Ethan ran across the room, clutching a balloon. For a moment, I thought, maybe Rachel will stay silent. Maybe tonight will pass, in peace. The candles lit up. Everyone shouted, "Happy birthday!" I smiled, though my chest felt heavy. Then Rachel stepped forward, microphone in hand. Every eye turned to her. I thought, maybe she'll just offer a toast. Just a few kind words to save face. She smiled softly. "Today is Christopher's special day. I know he's always tried for this family. Thank you." Applause. I exhaled. For 1 second, I wanted to believe. Maybe it wasn't over. But then her voice sharpened. "But I can't keep living in a marriage full of duty and no love." The clapping stopped. Silence crushed the room. My heart dropped like it had been ripped out. She looked at me. Clear, steady. "Christopher and I are getting divorced." Gasps. Whispers. "On his birthday? God." A spoon clattered to the floor. Ethan froze, his eyes wide. But Rachel wasn't done. She drew a breath. And cut again. "I found someone new. His name is Mark. He makes me feel alive, not just existing." The room erupted in murmurs. One colleague shook her head. "Poor Christopher," she whispered. I stood frozen, cold sweat down my back, my hand gripping Ethan's shoulder. One thought echoing in my head. Why today? In front of our son? In front of everyone? Ethan broke into sobs. "Mom, please say it's not true. Please don't leave." The room spun. I wanted to rip the mic from her hands, to scream. My fists shook, my vision blurred. Then I felt Ethan's small hand clutching my sleeve. I looked down. He was trembling, eyes begging me. And I knew I couldn't lose control. If I exploded, Ethan would lose the last pillar he had. I drew a breath, stepped forward. My voice cracked, but held. "Rachel, you can choose to leave, but you don't get to turn my birthday into a public trial. Not in front of our son." The room held its breath. Rachel hesitated, then answered, cold. "Better to tell the truth once than to live a lie forever." I turned to Ethan, wiped his tears, whispered, "It's okay, son. No matter what, I'll always be here." Then I faced the crowd, my voice breaking, but clear. "Thank you for coming. The party, well, is over. I'm sorry you had to witness this." I carried Ethan upstairs. Behind me, chairs scraped, sighs filled the air, and whispers cut like knives. In the bedroom, Ethan clung to me, sobbing. "Dad, is Mom really leaving us?" I held him tight, tears burning my eyes. "I don't know where Mom will go, but I will never leave you." He shook in my arms until sleep finally took him. I stayed still, afraid that letting go meant losing the last piece of what I had. When he slept, I walked out to the porch. The birthday lights still blinked, the cake untouched, candles gone dark. Cold smoke curled in the air. It felt less like a party, more like a funeral dressed in colors. I remembered the day I proposed, the promise we made, to hold hands for life. Now all that was left was me, and an empty chair beside me. I asked myself, where did I go wrong? Or was my only mistake believing love could stay still, forever? That night, I didn't sleep. I sat until morning, eyes no longer clouded, but waiting. Because I knew, after the humiliation of tonight, the real confrontation was coming, and there was no escape left. After that birthday, the house stopped being a home. It felt like a battlefield after the smoke cleared. Balloons deflated, lying flat on the floor. The cake still on the table, cream melting like a festering wound. Ethan walked by, kicked a balloon, no smile, no words. The next day, at school, eyes followed me. Colleagues who used to chat now only nodded. In the teacher's lounge, whispers. His wife announced her affair. At his birthday, I pretended not to hear, but every word cut deep. In class, I lectured on the Civil War, how it tore a nation apart. My voice cracked when I realized I was living my own civil war, between reason and a broken heart. That night, after Ethan slept, Rachel and I faced each other in the living room. No more dodging, no more empty words, only the truth. I spoke, low but firm. You said it in front of everyone. Now say it to me. What do you want? Her arms crossed, eyes cold. I want freedom. I want love without hiding. I want to feel like a woman again, not a shadow in this house. And Ethan, he needs his mother. She smirked. He'll grow up. He'll understand. No, he doesn't need to understand. He needs you, tonight, tomorrow, every day after. Her eyes cut sharp. Christopher, you're good, but you suffocate me. You stay silent, endure, let things slide. I don't want that. I want someone who makes me feel alive. Mark gives me that. You don't. I leaned back, my chest tight. Sometimes the pain isn't betrayal itself. It's hearing that you are not enough. The days after, tension hardened into cold wars. Dividing assets, custody papers, arguments behind closed doors. Ethan overheard more than he should. One evening, I found him curled in a corner, clutching his teddy, eyes red. Dad, is it my fault? I pulled him close, tears spilling. No, son, never. You're the only reason I'm still standing. He sobbed. And I broke with him. In his cries, I heard the shattering of my whole life. One afternoon, as I picked Ethan up, a parent stopped me, pity in her eyes. I heard. Are you okay? I forced a smile. I'm fine, thank you. But as I walked away, I caught their whisper. Poor guy, humiliated like that. I walked faster, wanting to outrun the pity. Sometimes, shame doesn't need words, just a look of sympathy to pour salt on the wound. One night, Rachel said, I'm moving out. Mark found us an apartment. I want to take Ethan. I stood, my voice sharper than ever. No, you can go, but Ethan stays. He needs a stable home. Her eyes flared. You think you can stop me? This isn't about winning. This is about protecting. He needs at least one parent here. The air thickened. Ethan rushed down the stairs, wrapped his arms around me. I'm staying with Dad. Rachel froze. For the first time, her eyes wavered. But then she turned, grabbed her bag, and slammed the door. The house shook. Ethan cried. I held him close, hurting, yet relieved. That night, I sat on the porch. Balloons sagged at my feet. I thought of the proposal. Rachel's first smile. Our family dinners. Now, just fragments of a broken dream. I asked myself, was I to blame too? Did my silence let her forget she was still a wife? The pain doubled, because I realized not only had Rachel betrayed me, I had betrayed myself by settling. By staying quiet, I stood, gathered the flat balloons, threw them away, tossed the cake, hard and stale. But when I saw Ethan's drawing, our family of 4, messy and crooked, I kept it, placed it in my desk drawer, and I whispered, I may lose a wife, but I will not lose the right to be a father. That's when it hit me. From here on, the battle wasn't with Rachel anymore. It was with fear, with the pity in people's eyes, and with the weakness inside myself. Since the day Rachel moved out, the house has been quieter than ever. Mornings, I take Ethan to school. Afternoons, I teach. Evenings, I cook something simple. No more dinners for 3. No more footsteps rushing across the living room. But in that silence, everything feels more real. At first, the whispers still clung to me. Neighbors with pity in their eyes. Colleagues patting my shoulder. Hang in there. I smiled it off. But inside it stung. Pity cuts deeper than betrayal. But slowly, I learned to walk through it. They only see the surface. Only I know what it takes to live after the storm. Ethan changed too. He laughed less, but stayed closer. He did homework beside me, not running to his mother's room anymore. One night, he whispered, Dad, does Mom still love me? I held him. She always will, but she chose a different path. Don't forget, Dad is always here. He nodded, eyes wet. And I understood. I couldn't fix a broken marriage, but I could be the wall my son leaned on. That was reason enough To get up every morning? One afternoon, I found an old photo box. Rachel in her wedding dress. Me holding Ethan for the first time. Our family on the beach. I turned each photo. My chest ached. But I didn't choke like before. I put them back. Memories don't need to be thrown away. They remind me I was once happy. The point isn't to erase them. It's to leave them where they belong. In the past. One day, a parent stopped me at the school gate. I heard, "You're strong." Not everyone could stand after that. I said quietly, "I'm not strong. I just don't have another choice." He nodded. And it struck me. Strength isn't the absence of pain. It's moving forward, while your heart still bleeds. Late at night, I sat on the porch. The balloons from that birthday? Long gone. The cake thrown away. But on the table, I kept Ethan's drawing. Just two figures. Him and me, under a tree. Above us, in his crooked handwriting, home. I stared at it. Tears came again. But this time, not from despair. This time, because in his eyes, I was still home. I folded the drawing, placed it on my chest as I lay down. In the dark, I thought, maybe I lost a wife. But I found myself again. And I still have a whole world. In my son's eyes, I don't know the future. Maybe Rachel will be happy. Maybe not. Maybe I'll meet someone new. Or maybe never. It doesn't matter. What matters is that today, I no longer fear the truth. Some doors close, not to punish, but to remind us to open another, where the light is waiting. I kissed Ethan's forehead, whispered, "Son, maybe I've lost many things, but as long as you call me Dad, I'll always have a reason to live." Outside, the wind brushed the trees, leaves rustled, like the soft applause of life itself. For the first time in months, I felt peace.